Hi there, my name is Anne-Louise. I'm with Lark Tweed Creative, and today I'm going to show you how to change your colors, your fonts, and your background in Wix. Now I know usually I make a lot of videos around Kajabi, but I also sell Wix templates, and so I figured that since I've been getting so many questions around Wix lately, I thought I would share a video to explain some of the basics of what I do when I first create a design that will also help you if you're looking to edit one of my templates or any other template. So if you've ever purchased one of my templates, you'll also notice that you receive a instruction PDF that includes Canva links to all of the images that were used within your new website template. And that is going to be really useful in this instance for what I want to teach. So if you look here, what I'm going to explain today, I'm just going to click here. This is literally the first step that I take when I design a new template, or if I'm customizing one or changing an existing one. I want to change my colors, my text, and my page background. I won't go over page transitions. I think that probably merits an entire other video, so I'll do that maybe in a separate video in the future. But we're going to focus on these things because these three basics are important when establishing your site, and page transitions I find is maybe not as necessary, but we can definitely look at that at a later date. But just know that anything that you change here, you're changing it globally within your entire website, versus when you select one little thing and you change like one header and you change the color of that header, it will only change it in that area. But if you're wanting to really set, okay, I want to set my colors, I want to set my fonts, and what's my background color or background image, like what am I doing there? This is where you want to be, because it's going to change it everywhere in the site. You won't have to go and do it manually for every page. So the first thing you're going to do though is you're going to want to download one of those links if you did purchase a template, one of those Canva links, and this is how it's going to look. So all of my templates have this at the top, and it's a style guide. And what the use of this is really to help you if you're wanting to change the look of this template. This will help you figure that out without going deeper and just playing around within the actual website to like figure out how it's going to look and feel. It's easier to do it if you're going to create it in this mood board first, because then you're going to pick your fonts. So you've got two fonts. It's always two fonts, a header font and a paragraph font, and then you've got 5 to 6 colors typically. Now, once you have these, you can start playing around with a little board here where, okay, well, I'm going to enter my new fonts, I'm going to change the image, the color, and so forth, and then all of a sudden you kind of get to see how it's going to look when you're working on the grander scale of your actual website. But here you're going to notice that I've got 3 fonts here, but basically this is the same font. You can choose to make it bold or light within the website. So really it's just one style of font. And then the 5 colors, these codes are really helpful as well, because if you're wanting to change the entire palette so that it matches better to your brand, you're going to want to get what these codes are. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now, and then we're going to apply it into the website. So let's say I want to change this color. I'm going to click on it, and then this is going to appear over here, and I'm going to choose this baby blue as an example. Now that I've changed this color, this code is going to need to change. So I can click here, and then I'm going to do Command C. I'm on a Mac. On a PC, I believe it would be Control C to copy this code. And then you're going to click back over here. You're going to double click on this, triple click until the whole thing is selected, and you're going to do Command V. And now you've got the new code here. So then when you go into Wix, you can just pop back and forth between windows and copy and paste the code. So Command V, Control V on a PC to get that code. Now, because of how Wix works, I'm going to copy this code without the dash. So Command C, and then we're going to hop over into Wix, and I'm going to show you how this works. Now, I know at the top here it says site theme, and it shows you these are the colors that you're using for your site. Great, and you can change it from here. But if you change it from here, you're choosing something that's been predetermined or pre-created by Wix. And some of these might be okay, but they're quite bright. So if you don't have branding, I mean, this is an option, but I find these colors are quite bright, quite rainbowy. So if that's not your brand, you're better to do this manually. So I would play around in that style guide in Canva and determine your colors from there, and then hop back into here and do it manually using this tool. So don't worry about this part. Let's go into here, and we're going to copy and paste that color that we just that new color that we just chose, we're going to copy and paste it in here. So you're going to click this big square, and here is your code. So when you click on it, it'll select it, and then we're going to do Command V if you have a PC and Control V if you have a PC. It's Control V and Command V for a Mac, and then you're going to apply it. Now, I said this is global. Look, it's already changed everywhere where I used the previous color that was there. Now it's changed to blue. So that gives you an idea of the power of this global tool, where you're not going to have to do everything manually on every single section, every single page of your site. This allows you to really change things. It takes about 5 minutes and your whole site can look really different. So we're just going to change that one color, and you can already see it's changed here. And now if you go back, now if you're wanting help in choosing colors and figuring out, I'm just going to pop into Canva again and figuring out like what should this palette look like? How do I choose my colors? I actually have a free resource. It's called Build Your Brand in 6 Steps, and it includes a guided checklist and 10 brand boards to kind of give you some ideas. But ultimately, it does explain how to select colors. It's very quick, but basically the basics of that are you want to choose 5 to 6 colors. And the first color you're going to pick is probably going to be really close to white, if not actually white. And the darkest color is going to be black or close to. And then your colors in between, that's where you get to incorporate your actual brand colors if you have 1 or 2, and then you can add a tone that matches those colors. So you can play around with that. But if you want more details on that, I would definitely download that free resource so that you can get more details. So let's hop back in here, and then we're going to go into text theme. So these are your fonts. So again, this is going to change it globally throughout the site. So you would have already selected your fonts here in the style guide, and then you're going to transfer them over. Now, unfortunately for this site, the font Cardo for Wix wasn't available. So what I did is I actually chose a font that I found was very close to the same look and feel as Cardo, and it ended up being EB Garamond. But you can change it. You can see all the different fonts that are available, and you can pick something different. But yeah, like you might have to hop back and forth between Canva and Wix to see what does Wix have that Canva also have, and to like kind of switch and find the right font and the right look for what you're going for. But now, if you click on this little arrow, it's going to show you all of the different headings. So you get 6 headings. Now, heading 1 is always your main heading at the top, and you'll only have one heading 1 per page, and it'll always be at the top. Heading 2 is usually your heading that tops each of your main paragraphs, and headings after that are subheadings, section headings. You know, they get smaller and smaller. Now these sizes, you shouldn't need to change them even if you change the font. They are set up within my templates to be the correct sizing, but it does happen sometimes, like if you select a font and that font seems to appear a lot smaller than this font, then you might need to make some adjustments to make it a little bit bigger, and vice versa. If it comes off way bigger than this actual font, you might want to size it down. But I would keep a hierarchy from like smallest to biggest depending on the heading, and you'll have a really nice flow throughout your site of hierarchy of importance. From an SEO perspective, these headings are really important. So what's included in the content of them, but also the size matters less, but if you want it to flow, you definitely need the size to be to kind of be standard like this so that there's a proper hierarchy. And then you can also, the way you can switch these headings here is you click on the pencil. And so now this is heading 1. You can change the size of it, you can change the color, you can make it bold, you can adjust the spacing. Now for the color, what I would say, you can still, once you've got this all set up, you can still go section by section and say, actually, I want this one to be this color and this one to be a different color, or this one has a dark background, I need it to be white. So right in this area here, because you're doing it globally, I would just choose a very neutral color. So either a black, if the background of your site is mostly light colors or white, I would make it black. And if your website is actually dark black, I would then make most of these white, and then go by section, like if there are some, like what is the majority that you need, and then if there is any changes to make, you can go and make those specifically to that section afterwards. But again, because you're doing it globally, I would keep this very neutral and standard. to make it much easier and less work on yourself. And now you're going to do the same thing for the paragraph font, and you're going to make sure, you get 3 paragraphs, which is different than definitely Kajabi or most other platforms. Usually you only get 1 or maybe 2. In this case, you get 3, which is pretty great. So it allows you for 3 different sizes. Don't go smaller than 14 pixels. There are rules and laws around this. So 14 pixels is really minimum size. You want to make sure that your website is legible. And 14 pixels I usually use maybe for the navigation or areas that are maybe like smaller, like the copy doesn't need to be as prominent. But for the most part, I'll usually switch between these 2. Now you could actually change the font of each of these individually. I would not recommend that because it will look really messy and confusing on your site. You really want to stick to 2 fonts, and maybe once you've got that set up, you could say, you know what, one of these headings, I want it to be like maybe heading 4. I want to choose like a script font. And I know that's like a popular look where you have like maybe like a subheading, but that shows on top. That's like a scripty font. It has like a dreamy feel. So you can definitely do that. But I would just start with keeping it standard to 2 fonts and then tweak things later if you want to um, enhance the look of things. So that's how fonts work. Now page background, this one's pretty simple. I'm going to click here. So right now that font, that color that I recently changed is now the background color. So if you wanted to switch that to something different, I would click something that's in your palette. The background color is like the main color that's used throughout your site. So it's just kind of a standard color, which typically will be either white or it could be black if you have like a dark mode site. But yeah, you want to keep this very, very neutral, and it should be a color that's within your palette. Now it is giving you the option to add a brand new color here. Um, I mean, if you're choosing a background color, it should definitely be part of your existing palette because otherwise it won't necessarily look as cohesive. So it's not really an instance where you should be adding a new color and choosing that as your background. I would just choose something from your palette. Now, the only other time where you would add an extra color that's not part of your palette is maybe you have a section where you're featuring someone else's brand and you need it to really look like their brand, then maybe you would choose a color that's outside of your palette. But for the most part, I would just stick to this. And the cool thing with Wix is they're not just giving you the 5 colors that you chose, they're giving you different tones that fall within those colors. So just notice though that the colors you enter, they're not necessarily the first one on the list. They might be in the middle, they might be the last. So make sure you pinpoint, okay, which one is it within the palette, so that you know like what are your core 5 colors, because we don't really have any control over where they're going to show up. So that kind of explains it all. Oh, the other thing too is you could choose to put an image in the background of your site. And I actually have a couple sites that are like that. Because let's say you have a subtle image that you're using as like a background for your entire website. And it's like maybe it's on a white background, it's just like a texture or something that you're using, and it's throughout the entire site, then this is where you would want to place it. So you would select the image. This is going to bring you to like your image bank or all the images that are used within the site. You'd select that image and you'd change the background, and all of a sudden it will be now the main image throughout your site. And if you wanted to cover it up in certain areas, you just have to put an image over top. So that is it for this. So yeah, I hope this answers a lot of your questions and helps you realize like how easy it is to actually customize a template when you can globally change the colors and the fonts throughout the entire site just through this simple tool. It can make it so much faster and so much easier, and then all you have to do next is change some of the images, and now you have a brand new site. So I hope this helps, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions.